here's the thing. For everybody listening, don't make the same mistake the Bengals just did in any facet of your life.
People are going to get hurt. It's the hockey season.
What about the Jared Cook play on the sideline?
I was very tempted to just put defense.
I'm saying it right now. If Anthony Davis is out for the playoffs, they don't make it out of the first round.
Come on, Austin and I've been saying this ever since Joe Burrow got injured.
I don't really think the Dodgers are going to make the World Series this year. I feel like they'll make it to the NLCS.
The Fernando Tatis extension, because that really surprised me.
Like you said, Ovechkin, he's getting older. He hasn't been playing as well as I imagined. He's one of the greatest goal scorers of all time, but he hasn't started off this season as hot as I would hope.
Hi, I'm Jeff Allen, and you're listening to Outsiders Opinions with Kevin and Austin.
What's up, y'all? Welcome to our NFL Opinions of the Week. I'm Kevin, and I am joined by the man with the play sheet, Austin.
I'm glad I'm not a head coach today, Kevin. These rankings are tough. They were very hard to do, and I'm glad I got them done so I don't have to think about them anymore because this took me a while.
Yeah, I kind of had the top coaches already figured out in my mind, but yeah, we're ranking all 32 head coaches today. A little bit bigger than previous ones, but some are tough just because they haven't coached yet. So it's how much do I believe in them? However, I'm more concerned about who is in your top 10 or who is near the top 10. So I think I'm hoping we can move a little bit past quickly through the bottom 10 at 32 because I want to spend a lot of time on the top 10, top 5, and who just missed the top 10.
Okay, I don't think the top 5 is all that interesting to me because I think it's pretty clear cut, but top 10 it gets a little bit interesting, I'd say. But my bottom 3, I'll just go 32 through 30 real quick, are all the new coaches. There's no way for you to say that coach is really good, that coach is really bad. These are all 3 coaches, Shane Steichen, D'Amico Ryans, and Jonathan Gannon. All 3 of those guys have never coached at the head coaching level in the NFL. So I have nothing to base this ranking on. I just have them all at the bottom in alphabetical order by last name. No particular reason.
Okay.
There's no way for me to rank them. There's no way for me to rank them.
Yeah, I do have them all at the 3. I just went different based on how much I trust them. I could totally be wrong, as we'll get to a guy that I was totally wrong on. Jonathan Gannon's my last. I'm just not really sure I believe in him. Shane Steichen, I think he did a good job play calling, so I think he will be good. And then D'Amico Ryans is my 30, just because I think I trust more coordinators from the Niners, but that's really not it. So I'll go into my next guy at 29. Arthur Smith, I just don't really trust him, what he's done with the Falcons lately. I know he's probably a good play caller, but the way the Falcons have gone, I don't really trust him. And that's why he's here.
That's understandable. My 29 is Josh McDaniels. What he did last year with all the influx of talent that he had, I just don't get it. I don't understand why he is an NFL head coach, why he got the job. Understand why he gets the job again. And this is really a make or break year for him if he does poorly again. While I don't think they actually can fire him because of the financial ruin that the Raiders are in, they are definitely going to know what type of coach they have after this year.
Yeah, that's a very good point. So I'll let you go to your 28.
My 28 is Frank Reich. I just don't trust his terminology, his scheming. He was a good coordinator, but he has had very little to no success as an NFL head coach. Yes, he made the playoffs, I believe, once with Andrew Luck and once with Phillip Rivers. But I feel like those teams were more led by talent and not coaching. And I think the past couple of years has really shown that.
All right. Okay. My 28 is Todd Bowles. I know he's a great defensive coach and a great defensive coordinator. I was a huge proponent of him getting a second look. The second look hasn't looked what I thought it would be. And I'm not sure if he can handle it. So that's why he's here. I think it's a big year for him. Even though it's his second year, I'm very intrigued because they got rid of the offense coordinator. So I'm just not really sure. What were you saying?
No, you were saying that they have a new offensive coordinator, right?
Yeah, and I'm just not really sure if he can handle balancing what I think a head coach's needs. So that's my 28. But then my 27 is Ron Rivera. I think I was very high on Ron Rivera, but lately he struggled with picking a quarterback and choosing when to stay with a quarterback. I think he has great defensive mind. It's just, to me, a lot of head coaching is about balance.
Yeah, my 27 is Todd Bowles. You just mentioned him. You and I were both in the same boat. We both thought that he should get a job. We both thought Byron Leftwich should get a job, but I don't know if Leftwich does get a job now that he's fired, and or at least head coaching level. And then Todd Bowles, partially is because of all the injuries, and this is definitely going to be a big year. They can't have a 3-14 season, or he's gone. They have too much talent on the team. I understand he lost the GOAT, but there's still a lot of talent there, and you can't have a terrible season or he's gone. My 26 is Dennis Allen. I don't really trust what he did with the Saints. It seemed like they were trying to lose and trying to win at the same time. Alvin Kamara had a terrible season last year, which I partially blame to the way they were using him. His decisions with the QB situation was weird. It just, I don't know how much I trust Dennis Allen heading into the next season.
Yeah, I'll get to Dennis Allen in a little bit, but my next one is Brandon Staley. I feel he's a little bit headstrong, or he's a guy that doesn't take risks. I just I can't get a estimate on him. I think he's good defensively when he has playmakers, but I'm sure a lot of guys can be great defensively when they have playmakers. So I just think with the critical moments, I think he goes back and forth. He doesn't have a set plan. So that's why he's here. Then my 25 is Josh McDaniels. I'm a little bit lower on the other guys, but he's a great offense coordinator. I just don't think he is a good head coach. I don't think he can handle it all. And I think there's a reason why Bill Belichick hasn't chosen an offense coordinator, because he has a feeling Josh McDaniels is going to be back soon.
That may be true, but like I mentioned, the Raiders can't really afford to let him go because they still owe him a lot of money immediately. My 25 is Matt Eberflus. He hasn't shown anything, not anything bad or good. He was given a terrible team last year, so I'm not going to blame that 3-14 record and the number one pick on him. But this next year is going to be huge, and I don't necessarily trust him, but that's because of a lack of success. But it was impossible for him to have any success last year anyway. My 24 is Arthur Smith. There was a good start to last year with Mariota, but the way they dealt with the QBs, the injuries, the defense, I just don't feel like he made a lot of great choices last year when I thought they could have been a playoff team and maybe knocked out the Bucks.
Yeah, I think that's fair. My 24 is Dennis Allen, as you talked about. I'm just not really sure. I don't get him. Yeah, it was just interesting to me. Then I had Matt Eberflus for many reasons. I think he was a great defensive coordinator. It's just, can he handle that step up? But yeah, he really didn't do anything good or anything bad. I think he started learning, or he started to help putting Fields in the right place, but we'll have to see this year. So now 22 is Mike McDaniel. While I love Mike McDaniel, if this was a personality contest, he'd be number one. It's just the playoff game. Or what?
Is this 23?
Okay. No, this is 22. My 23 is Matt Eberflus.
I haven't said my 23 yet, and you're.
Oh, okay.
That's
Okay,
why
I mixed that up.
Yeah, because if you're going to 22 and I haven't said 23, that seems like a little bit of wait. No, yeah, I should say my 23.
Yeah, you should say you're 23. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So my 23 is
23.
My 23 is Mike McDaniel. So we can kind of go off of this kind of the same. He did not deal with Tua's injury like he should have, and that's a big reason why he's down here. His play calling and kind of how he threw Skylar Thompson under the bus in a Bills game that he could have won in the playoffs. That's why he's here. And if you want to go,
yeah, the playoffs is why he's here too. But it was because he didn't do play calling in the Niners.
No, he didn't. He was never the primary play caller.
Yeah,
Shanahan.
Yeah, so that's something he just wasn't used to. So maybe he can get better. But yeah, that's why he's at 23 for you, 22 for me.
And then,
And then,
my 22.
Yeah, you're 22.
My 22 is Brandon Staley. You just mentioned him. He makes some great calls and some horrible calls, and those kind of average out to some bad performances. But the main reason he's here is I don't know how he can coach in the big games. I've never seen him win or make great decisions in those big games. The playoff game during Wild Card Weekend where they blew a 27-0 lead really sticks out in my mind here, and I really wonder how much he can improve because he has to. He has, in my opinion, and we'll get to the QB rankings eventually, easily a top 10 QB. I would argue a top 5 QB, but Herbert is an amazing talent and he deserves better.
Yeah. Do you just want to say you're 21?
Yeah. My 21 is Robert Saleh. Did he play well or did he do well with his talent pool? Yes. But it's always these fall at the end of the seasons that happens with the Jets. I understand this is only his second season there, but he has to kick the trend that's been happening in New York for a while now under this management. And I really wonder how he's going to do with Aaron Rodgers because he's a defensive head coach. How would those mesh? Sometimes you see it really work out with Bill Belichick or with Mike Tomlin. You see a good QB, a good defensive coach mesh together, Sean McDermott with Josh Allen, but sometimes it doesn't. And when it doesn't, it really sticks out. So I expect a big season here, and this next year will really impact my view of Robert Saleh.
Yeah, we agree. Robert Saleh is my 21 as well. I just really haven't seen enough from him. I think he was a great coordinator, definitely deserved the job. It's just, what does he do with the job? And I think he played a part in choosing QB and he chose wrong. But now what does he do with Aaron Rodgers? So yeah, we can move on. My 20 is Kevin Stefanski. I think he did a good job with Baker, and even off the field issues aside, with Deshaun Watson, I thought he was a better quarterback, but they played worse. And that's something, even with the off field issues, he still has to create a community and a good team for Kevin Stefanski, and I'm just not sure if he's done that. So that's why he's here. Then I'll let you say you're 20.
Yeah, my 20 is Ron Rivera. I have him a little bit higher than you, and I think that's just because of what he did in Washington in his first season there. I think it was his first season in 2020. And I still believe in him. Injuries have really derailed what could have been a great season last year and before. But he is on the bottom half of coaches, no doubt, because of how he handled the whole thing with Taylor Heineke, who I believe is definitely a better QB at this point in his career than Carson Wentz. He was getting them more wins. He was playing better. He really is a grind-out player. And he didn't show confidence in him, and it's hard to have confidence when you've never shown it. So I am interested to see can he show confidence in Sam Howell, or will he do like he did last year and just be on and off and on and off and on and off, which is really it hurts a younger QB. And then I go to my number 19. You literally just mentioned him, Kevin Stefanski. I don't blame anything that's happening with Deshaun Watson on him. I don't believe he made that hiring. Or that signing, I should say. So it's kind of it hurts because I don't necessarily believe the Browns wanted this negative attention around him, or at least he didn't. And losing all these other players, next year's going to be a big year for him. There's been a lot of turnover. They've lost a lot of good, or a lot of their major counterparts of that team in 2021 when they made that run. Was it 2021 or 2020? I think it was 2021, right?
When they made it to the playoffs?
Yeah, I think it was 2021.
Yes.
It was 2021 playoffs. 2020 season, 2021 playoffs.
Yeah, when they faced the Steelers. And beat the Steelers?
Yes, I think it was 2021. Yeah, that was definitely 2021. Yep.
How long is 2021 2 years ago?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Because the Chiefs, not the
Yeah,
past year.
Yeah.
Year before
that was
the Chiefs.
that was the year they played.
Because the year after the Steelers played the Chiefs.
That was the Bucs year. Yeah. 2020 was the year. Yeah, because that was the Bucs year.
2020. Yeah, okay, gotcha.
And the next year, yeah. Okay. But again, that run is really implemented everything that you see now of his entire career. But we'll have to see if he can do it with Deshaun Watson.
Okay, so my 19 is different Kevin O'Connell with the Minnesota Vikings. They had a great season. I thought he did well with Justin Jefferson. It's just these other guys. I think O'Connell was a great offensive mind, but how is he going to handle and rebound from that success or continue that success? So that's why he's my 19. Then I'll go into my 18, which is Dan Campbell. Dan Campbell was a guy I was not a huge fan of. I didn't really understand it, but I think he's really installed this grit, and his quotes have installed a identity into this team. Now, can he create? Now, can he get winning? I think he's brought enough people that bring a good job into. I think he is a good offensive coordinator, good defensive coordinator, and he knows how to manage emotions and get his team riled up. So that's why he's at my 18.
So my 18, Dan Campbell. We're agreeing some. I didn't think we would have this many agrees at the bottom half because it really is subjective when you get down there. Great head coach. I'm shocked for what he did this past season. How the resurgent Lions went from what they were 2-6, I think, or 1-6, 2-6. I think they were 2-6.
Maybe
and then they went on the run and almost made the playoffs. Unfortunately, they didn't for them. But he definitely, I love the grit. Detroit is a city known for it. When you think of the great Pistons teams, you think of that grit. When I think of Megatron, I think of someone that can run through walls and catch it over anybody. So I think he's really bringing a great culture. My next coach is Kevin O'Connell. You just mentioned him. You had him at 19, I believe. What a job. In your first year, I don't know how you could anticipate more from a coach that was expected not even to make the playoffs. Like, I didn't have the Vikings in the playoffs. I don't believe you did either.
Yeah, no.
In a 13-4 record, like, I understand that their plus-minus wasn't great. I don't really care. Maybe they lost their playoff game to the Giants. Okay, that's his first year as a head coach. I'm not going to hold that against him. It was rookie coach against rookie coach. Like, he has a lot of potential, in my opinion. I'm excited to see how he continues to grow.
Yeah, we'll have to see. And then, so my 17, this is a guy you had a lot lower, is Frank Reich. I think he's just struggled quarterback-wise. He hasn't had a good quarterback, and he hasn't done a good job in helping that quarterback. So, overall, I think if he does get a quarterback, then everything else seems to fit. But I like the hiring. I was surprised he got it quickly. But this is a guy you and I differ on. This is a big test, though. If Bryce Young doesn't work out and he doesn't help Bryce Young, then this will dramatically change my view on Frank Reich.
I just don't know if he's proven anything to me as a head coach yet. And Phillip Rivers may not be a Hall of Famer, but he's at least a Hall of Fame talent. Andrew Luck was definitely a Hall of Fame talent. So does he need that? I mean, Matt Ryan is going to be a Hall of Famer too. He's had one of the, at least regular season wise, greatest seasons ever. Top 10 probably. But obviously he's at the tail end of his career. But he couldn't even make it. It didn't seem like, you don't have to win with a great QB. You don't. And Matt Ryan was winning more games in Atlanta than he was with the Colts, which I find a lot of problem in. But my 16. Did you say your 16 yet?
No, my 17 was Frank Reich. I haven't said my 16.
You go 16.
Oh, I go 16? Okay, this is a guy, Doug Peterson. I think he is a good quarterback whisperer, and he can do a good job. I think he really helped Trevor Lawrence get better, and he knows how to put his players in better position. It's just, I'm not sure how well the Jaguars do when they get to the postseason. They did get one win, but I want some more growth and some consistency.
Okay. My number 16 is Brian Duvall. He's really in the same boat as Kevin O'Connell for me. Great first season. I think they have a lot of potential. And really just the ball beating O'Connell is the reason why the ball is higher than for me. I need to see more. Both of those coaches are first-year head coaches. Now they're going into their second season. But a lot of potential between those two. My 15 is Mike McCarthy. I know you're a Mike McCarthy believer.
I am a Mike McCarthy defender.
That's true. I get it.
He gets hated.
We'll see where you have him ranked. I have him above halfway. So there's 32 head coaches.
15's not bad.
15's above average. he obviously has had better days. We can both agree with that. When he was those initial years with Green Bay were
Yeah.
definitely more productive.
When he had a better quarterback.
If you need an all-time great QB to win games, I'm concerned. Or win even Super Bowls for that matter, because we've seen guys like, we'll get to John Harbaugh, one with Joe Flacco. So
Yeah, I was about to say, I was like, what other coaches besides John Harbaugh have done it without a great QB?
Doug Peterson with Nick Foles.
That's a good point. But Nick Foles was playing really well then.
Because of Doug Peterson, because he's an offensive mastermind. We'll get to Doug Peterson eventually.
Okay.
But McCarthy, I just don't know if he really elevates his players' skills as much as I want him to put him higher on this list. When I get to my top, it's really everybody after McCarthy that I have in that upper echelon of coaches that I believe make their players significantly better. It's just how well are they performing in the playoffs, or have they taken time off, or other stuff that influences the ranking I have them in.
Okay. Yeah, I don't think Mike McCarthy at 15 is bad. I'm just curious where you have Sean Payton because I feel Sean Payton and Mike McCarthy are very similar. Sean Payton to me is at 15. He's taking a year off. We'll see what he does. But this is a guy, he has had quarterbacks do well in some sense. Like Teddy Bridgewater played great. James Winston played better. But we'll just have to see. He's a guy that was only won one Super Bowl, and that was with one great quarterback. So that's who I have at 15. And then I'll go to my 14, which is Brian Daboll. You mentioned him. I feel Brian Daboll really elevated Daniel Jones. He's a guy that can elevate players. However, it's only 1 year, so that's why he's lower.
I mean, just to give credit to Kevin O'Connell, I mean, you were
I am a
Kirk Cousins hater almost.
Yeah.
To the point that you didn't think he could perform in big games, and Kirk Cousins had against the Bills. Kirk Cousins had a great game against the Bills, and you could put that partially on Kevin O'Connell. I think.
I did think Kevin O'Connell did a great job with that offense.
Yeah, he definitely, I believe, raised his team's play, but you have to do it more than 1 year.
Yes.
You said your
14? 14 was Brian Daboll.
Got it. So my 14 is Sean Payton. So there we go. Mike McCarthy and Sean Payton. I think Sean Payton's a better coach, but it's not by much. Because when I think about it, they did have a very similar career. I think Aaron Rodgers is better than Drew Brees all the time. You can call me biased. It's really a close debate. I will agree that Drew Brees deserves a MVP. The fact that he does not have one is a tragedy.
Yeah, that's wild.
It is a tragedy. It's like Nolan Ryan not having a Cy Young. Like, what are we doing here, guys? How did they not have that? But very similar runs. When they did win, it was a magical year. They beat a great team, so it wasn't a fluke run. But how much do they make their players better? Do they need that great QB? You really have to start asking those questions with guys like Sean Payton, who have not got it done. And he had Drew Brees for even more years. Same thing with McCarthy. They had top 10 QBs all time, and I'm not even taking a risk when I say that Aaron Rodgers and Drew Brees are both top 10 all time.
I agree.
Seasons, it tarnishes their record, and that's why they're down here. My 13 is Kyle Shanahan. Shanahan is arguably the best and the worst coach this way on. Like, you could argue to me that he is the second best offensive mind in the league behind Andy Reid, and I would have no argument against it. However, he's also, I don't want to say stupid, but he sometimes is very not smart in the moments that matter the most. And that's, again, why he's down here. Those play calls where you're like, okay, what are we doing here? We got to do something. What are we doing? And this past year really would have influenced his ranking to go higher, but he's still a young head coach compared to a lot of the guys here. So he has a lot of time to move up, and I definitely think he has the potential to be an Andy Reid-esque coach. Andy Reid did struggle at the beginning of his career, so I'm not.
Oh yeah.
He didn't win until we got to the Chiefs in 2020 or 2019. I'm bad. So,
well, he did win with the Eagles early on.
No, I'm talking
Didn't
win. No, but Kyle Shanahan's made a Super Bowl.
No.
So I as a head
Okay,
coach,
okay, you're talking about win a Super Bowl.
win.
Win a Super Bowl. Or
No,
just
win.
win.
When I say win, there's only one team that wins every year.
Okay, Super Bowl. Okay. Because I'm like, well, he did win. He
You
did
can't
make
say
it
a
to
team
Super Bowl.
won if they didn't win the Super
Okay,
Bowl.
okay. Well, I'm being a little bit more generous with wins. But yeah, when you say Super Bowl, it did definitely take him a while. And did take him a while until he got a QB that worked with him well. But yeah. I have Shanahan a little bit higher. 13's Mike McCarthy. I think he's consistent. However, he fails in some moments, makes some dumb decisions. I think if he had a better quarterback, he'd probably do better. That's just my opinion. I feel he's a step in the right direction. Is he the best coach? No, but he has its faults. But then you've said you're 13, right? So I'll go to my 12.
Who's your 14 again? Or 13?
My
13. 13.
My 13 is Mike McCarthy.
That's right. Okay. Okay. I just want to make sure I
Then-
heard you right. Then go
yeah.
to your 12. Yeah.
My 12 is Zach Taylor. This is a guy I've hated on, but he has done well with the Bengals. However, he has had a great quarterback. And I believe the time he didn't have a great quarterback was the rookie year.
Where his starting QB got hurt. It's not even like he had a starting QB caliber player.
But then he lucked in Joe Burrow. My thing
Lucked?
is, can you show me a play where Zach Taylor designs a play to make Joe Burrow better, and it's not just Joe Burrow being Joe Burrow?
What do you mean by that?
Okay, so
Zach
you've
Taylor
talked about
calls all the plays. Joe Burrow calls no plays. So
no, yeah, but I'm talking about. So you've talked about this with Andy Reid. Andy Reid, you've said Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes in the Super Bowl was helped by Andy Reid.
yeah.
What game has Zach Taylor done that for Joe Burrow, like Andy Reid did for Patrick Mahomes, according?
Well,
That's-
do you want to consider the fact that he's coached Burrow to take less hits, that he's not getting hurt because he's taking less hits? That's part of coaching. Teaching the quarterback to hold the ball less, so he doesn't get sacked as much, which he's got better at after the Super Bowl run. He is part of the drafting process. He knows his guys. He knows who they want. It's a smart coaching decision to, hey, Burrow, are you in Chase? Would that be something special? Because unless it's something special, I'm not taking that pick. And Burrow goes up to him and is like, it would be something special, then you have to make that pick, and he decides to put his player first. And that's what I think Zach Taylor is very good at, and some coaches aren't. But Zach Taylor, I believe, is a player's first coach. I believe that he leads by example, and it helps that, hey, I got your back, you got my back type of thing. And I've been really inspired by what Zach Taylor has done after all the hate that not just Kevin, but a lot of people had on him after his first season, which I don't think was warranted at all because the team was horrible. So I don't. We'll get to Zach Taylor eventually.
I feel he's uplifted a lot because of his quarterback play, and there just haven't been play calls where I'm like, wow, that's a nice. Play.
Okay. Let me. Yes, I believe that good QBs help. What great coach all time has never had a good QB?
And
The answer is zero.
That's true, but I don't know. Zach Taylor still doesn't have a ring.
Most coaches don't have rings. I would argue that even though, as a head coach, most guys. Like, you had Ron Rivera, who has a ring at 27. So it's not like we're ranking this based on rings.
Well, yeah, but as a head coach, I'm
Ron
not a huge
Rivera,
fan of Zach
Ron
Taylor.
Rivera doesn't have one. That's right. He lost in the Super Bowl. I totally forgot that. I don't know why I forgot that. So he doesn't have one. Yeah, there really is only like 8. Let me count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I think it's 9. 9 coaches, I believe, have won a ring that are active. 9. So,
All right,
I don't know if that's the best thing to rank people on currently.
that's true. I don't get Zach Taylor. And hey, he's doing great. He doesn't care what I'm saying. But yeah, I think he benefits a lot from having a top QB. But yeah, we'll just move on to
Andy
11.
Reid didn't win a Super Bowl until he got Mahomes. I mean, this.
That's true. But yeah, that's true. So.
But it's your 12, or do you just
Yeah.
win 12?
Yeah, 12 Zach Taylor.
Okay, so it's my 12 now. My 12 is Nick Sirianni. Sirianni just had a great year. You could argue that it was buffed by the increase in effectiveness that was with Jalen Hurts, but he's just a great coach all around. He helped command a team that was really remarkable. Even last year, where they weren't really projected to be all that good, and he led them to a 9-8 record, and they ended up getting slaughtered. But that really was improvement, and it assisted in their ability to make the playoffs and go on a long run this year and eventually losing the Super Bowl, which was tough for them. My 11 is Sean McDermott. You're talking about guys that have great QBs, right? A lot of people say that Josh Allen is top 2. I've heard it all around as Mahomes and then Allen.
Recently?
I'm talking about during Sean McDermott's tenure, not right this second.
Okay, gotcha.
You can't. Allen has been considered a top 2 QB during his career.
Oh, yeah.
So,
yes.
So my point is that he's made one AFC championship and no Super Bowls. So how you could rank Sean McDermott above Zach Taylor, which I know you've already done based on your ranking thus far,
of course,
does not make much sense to me, considering that he's already had a great defense with a great defensive coach. He's had a better line, and some people would argue a better QB. I wouldn't be one of those people, but it's not like he doesn't have a great wide receiver with Stephon Diggs. I don't know how he could be rated above. I'm ready for the argument.
What are the lows of Zach Taylor
when he had
as a head coach?
When he had
as a head coach.
That's what I'm saying. When he had no one. As a 36-year-old rookie head coach, when you have no one on your team, that's his low.
To me, Sean McDermott has done better with less earlier on.
Better? How can you do better than...
Than terrible getting the first overall pick?
Are you arguing that a Andy Dalton who played absolutely atrocious that year, that he didn't deserve the first pick? Are you acting like Josh Allen isn't a first pick talent?
No, but I'm talking about there were years before.
Zach Taylor's been a head coach for 4 years. Okay?
Okay.
His first year, Andy Dalton was horrible, and the team was horrible, and they got the first pick. The next year, his top talent towards ACL and was out for the entire season after week, I think it was 7 or 8. Maybe.
It was after.
It was 7, 8, 9, 10. I was somewhere in that middle of the year he tore his ACL. And in Super Bowl appearance, AFC Championship appearance. Those were his 4 years. He's made rapid improvement.
Okay. I just have more faith in McDermott than Zach Taylor.
Based on what?
Based on him, I think he's been able to lead a team more.
We'll come back to this.
Okay.
When you get McDermott. Who's your 11?
My 11 is Mike Vrabel.
Okay.
Just recently, he struggled, and quarterback-wise, I just haven't seen enough. These other guys have done more recently, and while Mike Vrabel is great defensively, great at finding talent defensively and making it work, it's just with the offense, he hasn't found the right personnel lately or the right offensive coordinator to cover that side of the ball.
Okay. Who's your 10?
My 10 is Nick Sirianni. I wish I could put him lower, but I think he did a good job with his team, making them feel like they're building that identity and also helping Jalen Hurts, because I think he's put Jalen Hurts in the right situation, and this is a guy I hit it on at the start, and he's really done a good job. They've made it. Yeah, he just finished up his second year, and they've made it to the playoffs. twice. Even though with great talent, it's just to me, Jalen Hurts didn't seem like a great quarterback at first, and then he just took steps with Nick Sirianni.
Yeah, I understand it. My number 10 is Doug Peterson. What Peterson did last year, really picking up the Jaguars and pulling them into the playoffs after going on a long win streak, really was remarkable. And I have to consider his past with the Eagles. What makes him 10 and not higher is really what happened between the Eagles and Peterson right before he left, where he was really intentionally losing games while the Eagles wanted him not to intentionally lose games. And me, Kevin, I hate intentionally losing games. Like, that's just not me. So he is this low because I know he would do it because he's done it before. But if we're talking just offensive coaching ability, he's up there with the best. And then my number 9 is Mike Vrabel. You just mentioned him, I think, at 11?
Yes.
Yeah. AFC Championship appearance with not the best team in the world, and I was really impressed when I remember that. They beat the best team in the league arguably back-to-back rounds with the Patriots, and then they beat the Ravens, who actually were the 1 seed, and then they had to face the Chiefs, and they were up at half and all that other stuff. But I still believe in him as a head coach. He has never really had that guy at QB. We talk about QBs and how they help their coaches. While Tannehill's had some really good seasons, and he's definitely no bum, he's not that extra all-pro team talent like some of these other guys have.
Yeah. So my 9 is Sean McDermott. This is a guy where to me, I think he's a great defensively, and he's found the right people to promote. However, Josh Allen has struggled recently, but to me, he's a guy that really helped Josh Allen become Josh Allen. And I think he found the right pieces to help, and he found the right coach, which I think was Brian Daboll, to help Josh Allen become Josh Allen. Now, I was high on Josh Allen, but lately hasn't really worked out. But to me, Sean McDermott still deserves the credit of being a top 10 head coach, given what he's done for so long, because he's coached longer than Zach Taylor. He's coached since 2017.
And this is a stat I want to bring up because we were waiting until you got to McDermott. Sorry to interrupt, but Taylor has more playoff wins already than McDermott. Does that matter at all to you that Taylor has...
It matters a little bit, but...
Taylor has 5 playoff wins to McDermott's 4. And
okay, it's only one difference.
Yeah, but McDermott's played or had 6 seasons, and Taylor's had 4.
How many though how many have they had with their quarterback?
What do you mean? What does that even mean?
So my big thing with Zach Taylor is, have we seen him do it without a quarterback? That is
Sean
not
McDermott. You know how many playoff wins he has without Josh Allen? 0.
Okay, how many just regular wins does Zach Taylor have without Joe Burrow?
A terrible QB, and then you draft the guy and he gets hurt. I don't understand the argument, Kevin.
I know you don't even have to count the injury riddled season. I just want the first year of Zach Taylor without Joe Burrow. That's my big thing. Until
the 1 year where he had Andy Dalton, who we've seen he's way
Andy
past
Dalton
his
is
prime.
a fine quarterback. He's okay. He can win you some games, can also lose you some games. He's not Carson Wentz.
That year he had 16 touchdowns and 14 picks. Like, what are we doing?
We've seen Andy Dalton go into a system with a coach that helps them. To me, I'm not sure how much Zach Taylor helps his coach. That's my deal with Zach Taylor.
Like, their best wide receiver was Tyler Boyd, and after that it was John Ross. John Ross is way out of the league. Tyler Eifert's out of the league. Like, their best options are way out of the league, and it's only been 4 years.
I don't.
This team
not a fan of Zach Taylor. Pretty sure Sean McDermott took over a pretty bad Bills, and they were able to still get out some wins. He finished 6-10, and I believe that's when he had Tyrod Taylor, probably in the same zone as Andy Dalton.
The years, okay, you want to hear the last 3 seasons before McDermott got there? 9-7,
Yes.
8-8, 7-9. Those aren't historically bad teams. Are they not
They weren't
great?
historically bad.
Yeah,
not
they're not great. I'll give you that. But they weren't one of the worst teams in the league. But when Taylor got the Bengals, while they had been a perennial playoff team for a while, they had lost all their talent. The year before they were 6-10. And that 6-10 team, I believe, started out that 6-10 team started out the year 4-1. And then lost 1, 2. They were 5-3 at one point and ended the year 6-10.
Are you talking about the Bills?
Nope, I'm talking about the Bengals.
Okay.
They were the year before. Like I said, they had lost 7 of their last 8 games. Before Zach Taylor got the job, they lost 7 of the last 8. They already were a horrible team right before he got there. There were pieces in Buffalo. And something I want to mention.
What were those pieces? Players. Name specific players.
You want me to go to the roster so I make sure I don't mess it up?
Yes. I'm just not. To me, there wasn't much in Buffalo, and then they started drafting.
I mean, if you're talking about right before he got there, they had arguably the best running back in the league, probably top 5 at least. LaShawn McCoy, who is still in his prime. Let me go to their defense because they had Jordan Poyer on that defense already. They had Davis White on that defense already. They had Micah Hyde on that defense already. Matt Milano on that defense already. They already had all the defensive pieces that for his first year. Okay.
All right. We're gonna go around in circles, but with Sean McDermott could fall. We'll see. Zach Taylor could move up. We'll see. But as of right now, I just believe in McDermott more than Zach Taylor.
Was that your 8? Have you done 8 yet?
No, that was my 9.
Okay, so you do 8.
My 8 is Matt LaFleur. This is a guy who's done it with one quarterback. We'll see how he does with Jordan Love. We just haven't seen it. But he entered into a situation, got players, and then had some great offenses. Struggled. He's made it to the NFC Championship game, but he hasn't been able to pass it. But still, I just want to see what he does with another quarterback.
Yeah, I agree. 8, Matt LaFleur. Last season was a fluke, in my opinion. Our team was not built correctly, I think, from the ground up. And I don't know if Rodgers was fully invested last year. I mean, he could have been. I don't blame it all on Rodgers. Rodgers didn't have the best year of his career, but he definitely didn't have the worst. And I blame partially our defense and other injuries for what happened. But LaFleur was amazing. And I still think he's a great head coach. I'm excited for the future. Even if he does poorly this year, I have no interest in getting rid of him. I'm excited. Like I said, he's easily a top 10 coach. Then my 7, Zach Taylor. I believe Zach Taylor is a better head coach than LaFleur. I still wouldn't give up LaFleur for Taylor. This is rankings. If I have them above the other, I think they're a better head coach. This is how the rankings go.
Okay, I would take LaFleur over McDermott.
I would not move off of LaFleur, but I think that Taylor has done more as a head coach and proved to be a better. I mean, Aaron Rodgers was an MVP back-to-back years, and we didn't make a Super Bowl. Joe Burrow was in MVP conversations when he went to the Super Bowl. He was up there for Pro Bowl talks. I don't even think he made the Pro Bowl that year. Let me check. I don't think he did. Okay. If I remember correctly, he didn't. I could be wrong completely, but I will check. Nope. Burrow is a one-time Pro Bowler, and that was last year. So this past season. The year he made the Super Bowl, he was not a Pro Bowler. Like I said, so he wasn't even in MVP conversation because he didn't even make the Pro Bowl, which is
I don't trust Pro Bowl.
But still, you get my point. It's not like LaFleur wasn't given. We talk about
That's
great
true.
QBs. So, 7, Zach Taylor. We've done enough of the Zach Taylor talk. I knew I was
Yes.
going to have him way above you, but we can move on. What's your 7?
My 7 is John Harbaugh. Lately, there's been a lot in the Ravens locker room. I'm not sure how much John Harbaugh has been a part of it, but I think he's done a good job. He's dealt with quarterbacks. It's just they've struggled in the playoffs. I want to see a little bit more of the playoffs, but they're always good no matter the injuries. So that's a huge thing, but he hasn't made that far in the playoffs lately.
Then your 6?
My 6 is Sean McVay. He had a bad year. A lot of the talent wasn't there. This is a guy where I think he's helped with his quarterbacks. He helped Jared Goff figure out the league, and then he got Matthew Stafford, and they were able to work together to get a Super Bowl ring. But Matthew Stafford got injured, and they struggled, so this is why he's at 6.
My 6 is John Harbaugh. Last year they made the playoffs and they didn't have Lamar for most of the year. Like, this guy's still a great head coach. I don't understand this talk about his firing or anything else.
I wouldn't fire him.
I don't think he's the
wouldn't
main
fire
guy in those contract talks. That is the GM's job. You don't hire a coach to do that. So this all Lamar talk, I don't think he's really a part of it. He's just there to win games. And Harbaugh will win you games, and that's why he's at 6. I don't really have to go into it. He won a Super Bowl in 2013. He's just a great head coach. My number 5 is Pete Carroll. What he did last year was remarkable. He's made 2 Super Bowls. He's obviously won 1. And again, do I think he improved Geno? 100%. He's really taught him to be the QB he wants him to be and lead him to be a Pro Bowler and make a lot more money than he would have if he just sat him.
That's true. Yeah, I agree. Pete Carroll's my 5 too. So what he did with Geno is incredible. Defense is always good. It's just he switched quarterbacks and he was still able to get good offensive production. But now I'm going to my 4, which is probably going to surprise you. It's Bill Belichick. Greatest coach of all time. One of the best. It's just the way the offense has gone, especially last year. Matt Patricia was his coordinator, so was Joe Judge. I don't really get it. That's something, and we haven't really seen him have a good offense consistently without Tom Brady. So that's why he's a little bit lower. And they had a bad year this year. So that's why he's at my 4.
My 4 is Sean McVay. Not a great year. I know I had him higher than you, but I was on and off and on and off. But if we're talking about mind, he is the second best offensive mind.
Oh, yeah. Fantastic.
I could hear the argument for Shanahan, but what McVay has done with, I believe, lackluster comparatively. Look, is Stafford a great QB? I don't know. Great? I don't know.
Yeah, great's tough.
And without great talent, it's really hard to win a Super Bowl without great QB talent. We don't see that very often. And what he did with Jared Goff, what he did with Stafford, yes, Stafford's not a bum, but he's not that upper echelon of QBs that you think, wow, that guy's really easily a Hall of Famer. I mean, he probably is now, but if we're talking first ballot, no question, he hasn't had one of those guys. And I would, if something crazy would have happened and somehow Rodgers would have somehow ended up, if Rodgers had left early, I'm saying if Rodgers had left early and instead of Stafford getting traded to the Rams, Rodgers did, I believe that team would have been much, 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 much better for a longer period of time because of how good of a coach he is. My 3 is Belichick. I mean, kind of the reasons you mentioned, I have him a little bit higher than you. He has to do it without Brady. Or while it won't be tarnished because he's won 6 Super Bowls and there's no way to say that he's a bad head coach or something like that, it is a reasonable conversation to have that he was carried by the GOAT. And I need to see that gone away. I think Bill Belichick's a great head coach, but I need to be proved. And scientific evidence isn't in front of me that says it is. So he's my number 3. What about you?
My 3 is Shanahan. I'm pretty higher than you.
Wow. I had Shanahan at 13.
I mean, dang, man. Yeah, that's the biggest one. I love what Shanahan has done with quarterbacks. He's always seemed to make the offense work. He's found pieces. and I just think he's a mastermind with that. However, while I agree McVay is a better mind, but Shanahan to me has been consistent. And to me, a thing that something with Shanahan is he finds coordinators and he continues building them, teaching them to where
Is
they
he
go
not?
off and do
But
well.
could you argue that he's carried by coordinators?
But he's the head coach, so he's putting those coordinators in those roles.
I guess. I don't know how much that. I thought that almost was a downgrade for me that he's had all these great coordinators and an upgrade.
To me, the coordinators show a lot about the head coach. Because he chooses them.
I guess, but we'll come back to this. Who's your 2?
My 2 is Mike Tomlin. Consistent. I know he hasn't been well in the playoffs, but there's something about not having a losing season, no matter what the personnel is. I think that's just incredible from Mike Tomlin. We'll have to see what he does with Pickett, but he won a Super Bowl early with Ben Roethlisberger. Defense, this is a team that always gives its hardest, and it's never losing. So I think that's just a big reason, and he's been doing it for a long time, and he still has yet to have a losing season, which is incredible. That's why he's at 2. But he doesn't have a Super Bowl win recently.
Okay, so we just agreed at the top. My 2 is Andy Reid. Andy Reid's a great coach, but there is something about not winning a Super Bowl until you have the baby goat, as I will call Mahomes. He's obviously not even close to reaching Brady, but what he's done at the start of his career is remarkable. And I do think that is something you have to consider here. And Tomlin, whether it's a way past his prime Roethlisberger, made the playoffs? He made the playoffs with that team? What are we doing? How did that team make the playoffs, Kevin? How did it make the playoffs?
I don't know.
And in last year, Kenny Pickett, terrible start to the year.
That's incredible.
They could have
what he
made the
did with Kenny
playoffs. They
Pickett.
could have made the playoffs if the Dolphins lost. They went 9-8. What? What are we doing? What Tomlin does seems unhuman at times. Yes, he only has one Super Bowl. I get that. But he never had a Mahomes. Is Roethlisberger very good? Yes. Is he potentially on that very the lower end of great? Yeah, I would say so.
Yeah.
But he's not in that Manning, Marino, Mahomes, Brady, Rodgers, Favre, Breeze area.
Okay.
And with one of those guys, you have to win more than one. And I think part of the reason why Tomlin doesn't have more is because of Tom Brady. And that's a good argument for Andy Reid as well. But I just believe what Tomlin has done with the lack of QBs as an offensive head coach, his job is not offense, it is defense. When you give an offensive head coach Patrick Mahomes, you have to do great, or you're.
But he chose Patrick Mahomes, Andy Reid.
Did he choose it, or did the GM choose it?
I think they both worked on it, and Andy Reid's like, I can take the talent of this guy. We'll make it work. He made it work without.
I would need physical proof of that for me to believe it, because I believe a big part of it was the year off, and I think Alex Smith is a big reason why Mahomes is as good as he is. I don't think he's given enough credit. If we talk about years off, I believe Drew Bledsoe was a big reason why Brady went from this 6th round 199th or 198th pick to the guy he was. That year off, I think, matters. And you thinking, that's what's so amazing about Pickett, right? Is Pickett could have an astronomical rise. He did better than Mahomes did in his first season. Why? Because Mahomes didn't have a first season. There was no Mahomes. How did Mahomes play his first season? I have no idea. He played one game and 2 snaps. So, what do you play great? I have no idea. Maybe he's throwing the fire too early. But with Tomlin, it didn't matter. He didn't have to wait. Hey, let's let Alex Smith coach the guy. They could have brought Big Ben back. Big Ben would have returned. Big Ben said that he never wanted to play anywhere else in Pittsburgh, but if Pittsburgh would have brought him back, he said on a podcast, he would have returned. If they wanted that for Pickett, they would have done it. No, I can have a winning team with Pickett this year. And you know what? He was right.
He did.
He had a winning record this year, and I believe that is remarkable.
It is remarkable. But to me, Andy Reid has always been good. He's been great with Mahomes. He's been fantastic with this Chiefs team. He's taught Travis Kelce. He's really worked with him.
Is being great with Mahomes a plus? Or is it just
Yes.
expected?
Well, you just talked about how Mahomes, the Super Bowl MVP, should have gone to Andy Reid instead of Mahomes.
I agree with that statement, but
Then how is he not the best coach?
Because
when
you
he does it?
have Mahomes. You can draw up anything, Mahomes will do it. It's kind of like a kid in a coloring book, and he doesn't have to color within the lines. Just do whatever you want. Mahomes will do it. Now, Reid had an amazing Super Bowl. His plays, he didn't have to show how good Mahomes was. Anybody could have made those plays, but that is one game. I believe that's more of the Eagles' fault for falling for those plays than it is Reid being a genius. Those weren't plays that I've never seen before. And again, we're picking hairs here. We both have them.
This is true.
These
true.
are, like, obviously, in our opinions, 1 and 2, and I don't think it's all really that close because Belichick hasn't won without Brady, because McVay had such a bad year last year, because Shanahan for you hasn't won a Super Bowl. It really is, but I do think it's. Do you think it's fitting that a defensive head coach and an offensive head coach are 1 and 2, and those are really the ones at the top?
Yeah, I think that is very fitting. And Mike Tomlin's always been just the outlier of stuff. Like, man, defensive head coach, but people keep going offensive head coach, and Tomlin's there just being great.
I agree.
Yeah, I think we'll end it there. That's all we got. Thank you for listening. Let us know your thoughts. That's all we got. Let us know on Twitter and Instagram. Thank you for listening to Outsiders Opinions.